Welcome everyone to Legion Gaming. I'm your host, Donnie, and as always, I'm joined by co-host, Duce.
Oh, hello everybody.
Duce,
Sorry.
It sounds like you're hiding in the dark there.
No, boo.
Yeah, a little bit in the dark there.
No, I was just reading up on what we're about to talk about, and I am excited.
I'm very excited. We're covering today one of the most important games in the history of gaming, and I don't think it's arguable in any way. We're covering Doom for basically the PC and everything else, because it's been on everything.
All
over the last 30
450
years.
different things this is on.
It's amazing, and I probably own 275 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. But I'm very excited to talk about Doom, Ducey, because this is part of our sort of Horrorfest that we've established this month. We're about halfway through October, which is insane.
Yeah.
We've been posting a lot of stuff on Instagram, which you can find us at Legion Gaming Podcast. We're doing like a post a day with some sort of horror game. That's been really exciting. But Ducey, I'm always excited to record, and especially when we record about games like this. So I don't know. How do you feel about Doom and, this episode? And I guess what else we got coming up?
I mean, Doom is up there for me with Mario Brothers 1 and Tetris.
I think so.
I'd
say it's totally fair.
I mean, I don't know what the fourth would be on the Mount Rushmore, but all three of those feel like you don't have modern games without these.
You don't. And I think that's, obviously that's an opinion I share. Completely agree with you. So it'll be really fun to dive into that. And we're going to dive into some of the history and then some of the ports, I should say, because there's a lot. Like we said, it's been ported to damn near everything. It's also playable on like pregnancy tests, calculators.
Yeah, I remember those, TI 80-something Texas Instrument calculators, graphing calculators back in the day. I remember when it was a big deal when some of my friends could play like Mario on those. And then all of a sudden recently they're like, hey, these play Doom now.
I saw someone playing Doom on the, the MacBook, so they have that little hot bar. It's like a touchscreen.
Oh, yeah.
They were playing it on that somehow.
On just that.
Like, and that's like a slim, what is that? Like probably it's half an inch width screen or something.
I was going to say, it's less than the width of your finger.
Yeah, it's more impressive for the gimmick that it happened versus being actual playable, right? Yeah.
Aren't a lot of those, like, it's not really playing on it, it's like being streamed on there or something like that? Like, there's a technicality to some of these things.
Some of them there are.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely some who are just going to kind of BS through, but then there's some where it's like...
You can play Doom on a refrigerator now.
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Yeah.
My refrigerator barely makes ice, so I guess that's a different level of fridge there. Before we get to Doom though, Ducey, what have you been playing
Did
lately?
you almost say Devil May Cry?
I don't know. Well, we were talking about Devil May Cry right before we recorded, remember?
That's true. And
Resident Evil.
That's another one we could have covered this month, but we have another special episode coming up.
We do, which I guess, I don't even want to call it a spoiler, but on October 31st, because this is releasing, today? This is the 19th. So on the 25th, we're releasing Doom.
Yep.
And then on the 31st is their extra special bonus episode spectacular for Resident Evil, which we were both very excited about. We did a whole top 10 Resident Evil games. I think it was about a year ago now, which is kind of crazy. Somewhere around there.
And we always talk about Resident Evil 2, but
exactly.
This was the origin. Again, I feel like we've done a whole month of very important games where
that's true.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night was the start of Metroidvanias. Now we have Doom here, and then next week will be the start of, not the start, but
sort of the defining of a genre.
Of survival horror,
Survival horror, yes. So it's like, while Resident Evil wasn't the first, it was the first to make it a huge deal and break into the mainstream.
And really put those words into people's mouths.
Exactly, yeah. The master of unlocking.
And on that note, what I've been playing is something that has branched off from the Resident Evil series. I got into Dead Space, the remake. From, was it last year?
Beginning of 2023, which is, again, insane. It's almost 2 years old at this point.
And I know on some of our older episodes, one of them somewhere, I mentioned, I really want to get into Dead Space now. I've got it downloaded. And it only took like an extra year for me to finally get into it. But it was appropriate because this is spooky season. And that game, I did not realize just how much of a remake it was going to be. It's almost up there with like Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4.
It is. It's a full from the ground up. I think it's using Unreal Engine or something. So I don't know what would be from the original game in 2008, but it's a full blown remake and it's excellent. The thing that I think kind of it had going against itself was it was released a couple months before Resident Evil 4 remake.
Oh yeah,
because Dead Space remake is really freaking good. Like I got it when it came out and I finished it. So I'm glad you're playing through it because it's really good. Like they have nailed the atmosphere. It's scary. Like it just looks incredible.
Yeah, it's been holding my attention because the first game did. I actually beat the first one way back on 360. And that is crazy to say that it was back on Xbox 360.
16 years ago.
And it's funny because what I remember of that game, in my head, it looks like how the remake looks now. Mm-hmm. But then there are some parts I've gotten to, like when you're out there like realigning the big guns to shoot the asteroids. I know that's a different set piece in the original. And this one, they made it like just way better and way more fun.
Yeah, everything. It's what a remake should be, where it's modernized everything that should have been modernized, but still retains a lot of what the original, or made the original special.
I noticed a lot of the big set pieces are still there. There's like a main bridge area that looks exactly the same, just shinier. There's even one of the best jump scares I got from the original was like there's this hole in a wall. And you can see it's all torn and twisted metal poking out, which means something came out of that. And as soon as you walk into the hallway, this giant tentacle thing grabs you. And I jumped a foot back when I played it the first time. And this time, I was like, okay, I know that's there. And I walk past it and nothing happens. I was like, what? I was like, okay. They're trying to like change it up because they know you know.
Yeah.
And as soon as I try to walk down the hall and go into the next room, then it grabs you. And I jumped again. I'm like, good job, remakers.
They
like
changed just enough.
Yeah. You still got me.
How much? I think there's like 15 chapters in there. If I recall, how far are you right now?
I knew there was double digit. I think
it's like 15. It's like 12 to 15. I want to say.
I want to say I just started chapter 8.
Oh, okay, so yeah, you're about 2/3 of the way through. It was I think it took me like 12 to 14 hours, which is really solid. Like that's an excellent game length for it.
On my save file, I'm already up at like 10 and a half, and I'm only about halfway through.
Well, that's the thing is I don't say you tend to play games slower. It's just for some reason with me, even though I feel like I'm pretty thorough, like I tend to get through games pretty quick in some instances, right? But yeah, it's funny. It's like 10.5 hours, 2/3, and I think it took me 12 to 15 for the full game. I don't know.
And in this one, I mean, it's not like there's a lot of lore to pick up like in Resident Evil games.
It's pretty straightforward.
There's some text and some audio logs, but I think I spend the extra time after a battle. I go around the room and make sure I pick up every item because you desperately need ammo.
Yeah, everything's scarce in there, which I appreciate too because it was. I feel like the difficulty was just right when I had finished it. Like I didn't, there's definitely some trouble spots like anything.
Yeah.
Like once you understand what you're doing, it's like it's not as bad. But it's definitely, these items are scarce. Don't go wasting ammo when you don't need to.
I've surprisingly only died once, and that was because it was like this one-hitter quitter. Like it didn't matter how much life you had. This guy could take your head off, and he did. And then just recently, I fought this giant boss. You're in like the no gravity section, and it's just this giant thing up against the wall.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
I think you have to like shoot things on the rim or something like that. Yeah.
And it ended up he got me down to like the last little bar of health on your little backpack tank, and somehow I survived on just the last little red bar of that. But other than that, I've been going through because I really enjoyed the story, and it seems like they've really kind of stuck with that, and it's making me want them to like remake the second one.
Well, that's the thing is I don't know. I want to say I read something a while back where they weren't sure they're going to do a second one because this one didn't sell as well as they had expected, which I don't know what that means anymore these days because I see games where it sell like, oh, we sold 1 million, and then some major publisher will lay everyone off and like, oh, that wasn't enough. It's like, it's crazy. Like 1 million seller isn't 1 million seller or worth a damn these days.
Yeah. Remember when N64 would slap the little gold sticker on those saying, this is 1 million seller.
So it's like, in my eyes, like Dead Space should have been one of the most successful games, especially when you see so many people complaining about modern gaming and like microtransactions and free to play elements. It's a no BS single player game. There is nothing that is intrusive about it. It's exactly what it is. And yet, people didn't seem to care.
Yep.
So it's like, what do you want? Really?
Well, like you said, Resident Evil 4 came out shortly after that.
That's also didn't help either, for sure.
And I think a lot of it these days is people know that PS Plus and Game Pass exist.
I think so too, which is unfortunate because that's obviously changed things. I'm sure publishers are looking at that way too because they're looking at what sales are, like actual sales, and then player engagement on Game Pass and whatever, which I think kind of sucks because there's going to be a lot of games that are on Game Pass and Plus where someone might have an interest in just playing it, and then that's it. They'll play for 10 minutes, dump it, whatever. So it's like it's hard to stick to a game when you have 150 to choose from. And Dead Space, it kind of got lost in the shuffle of things. I don't know, but I hope they do a remake of the second because I never finished that one back then.
I didn't either.
I should play through it again
at the end.
Yeah, so it's like I hope they do because this one was really freaking good. I'm glad you're getting through it now.
Yep. And to lighten things up, I also got back into Plucky Squire.
Oh, okay.
When I don't want to have all the lights off and scaring myself.
Yeah, it's the polar opposite with its vibrant art style.
Cartoony looks and the comedy to it, and I just really enjoy all the puzzles in that. I think we talked about it last week when you were talking about you playing it.
When I finished it, yeah.
Just the way that they've incorporated the 3D world and the 2D world in the book, and how you have to like leave it, go get something, come back into it. Oh, it's great. The humor to it too. Like I just fought this one archer girl.
Oh, with the card?
Yeah,
she looked like a magic card.
She was a magic card, and
yeah,
then you jump into that.
I wish they did more of that.
Yeah. And then you take her bow and you have this awesome like bow and arrow kind of mini game for the next boss fight.
Yep. So that's the thing that I did enjoy about it, is like it did keep you on your toes with things like that. It kind of mixed things up because it's sort of like a rhythm game with certain boss fights.
Oh, wow.
And also I did like that it had the 2D and 3D world where you kind of go in between them to solve puzzles or progress, because that also broke the game up, right? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like if it was strictly in the storybook, like, it would be really nice, but it'd be kind of just, I think it would get too repetitive at some point.
Yeah, you would want it to be shorter at that point.
Yeah, but the 3D world is mixed up enough to where it's like you're going back and forth and solving puzzles, on both sides. And also you're doing 2D puzzles in the 3D world too. Like you might go within like a platform, and skirt your way up.
Yeah, it feels very much like
Link Between Worlds.
That one, on Zelda. 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Exactly.
And then other than that, I've just been playing what we're going to talk about today and next week. So
we always have a lot of variety. That's the thing. We're adults now, so it's like all that game time we wish we had.
Yeah.
it's spread pretty thin. Yeah. For me, I've been playing the Silent Hill 2 remake, which came out last week, and oh my god, I have not been any more happy to be wrong, because I was kind of skeptical with the same reason a lot of people were about Team Bloober. Everyone was, because their games aren't bad. Like they've done like a lot of the Outlast games, and it was Layers of Fear, I think it was, which I'm not too familiar with because I heard they're just they're fine, like they're not great, but they have absolutely nailed the Silent Hill 2 remake. I'm about 12 hours in. It's really long. I think like the original game was probably like 8 to 10 hours. I feel like they extended this one. I'm not totally sure what's different, but it's a lengthy game. Like I think I'm about 2/3 the way through, and I've been like meticulously going through because this game is scary as all hell. Like it feels like an OG survival horror game from the era, like from PS2 and PS1 era, but obviously modernized in a lot of ways. Like the combat it's nothing special. Like it's really just one button melee, and like you have a generous dodge. Your ammo is scarce, and later in the game, like I was like, I feel pretty good because I was stocked up on ammo and everything else. But as far as the graphics, the atmosphere, and especially the sound design of this game, it's really incredible. One of the gimmicks in Silent Hill is like, you would hear like radio noise, kind of static noise in the back of your head, like when enemies are nearby. Well, they've now made that with the DualSense, so it's like you hear like this really unnerving, almost like dentist drill noise coming through the DualSense controller while you have the atmosphere of the game going around you, right? Like, whatever's in game, and it's like I'm just paranoid about going around every single corner of this game, but it's so freaking good. I don't know. I know you're planning to get it at some point, but did you play the original at all? I don't remember.
No, I've only played Silent Hill 1. I think I borrowed that from you back when we were in our big Resident Evil phase. And I really enjoyed that one, but I don't know. I must have gotten stuck somewhere, and then I ended up giving it back to you. And I never got any further, and I never played any other Silent Hill after that because I know they sort of fell off after
after 3 is kind of like 4 wasn't. I only played a little bit of 4, but that's kind of when like it wasn't, like 2 and 3 were the peak obviously, and then it kind of fell off after that. And then, like the other games after were just kind of mediocre to bad.
Yeah.
So it's been a while that they've done anything with Silent Hill, but the remake is just freaking exceptional. Like I've been enjoying my time with it. I've been, this is definitely one of those games where like you want to explore every nook and cranny because you need that precious ammo or the health items. And of course there's like stuff that just, there's these enemies that are like made up of 4 legs, like they're 2 legs, and they look like almost like contortionists or something. Except they hide. They look like mannequins just like up against the wall. And the camera has this weight and sway to it. So it's like you have your light, and like as you turn, like it takes a moment to kind of swing with you. So when that happens, you might see like a flicker of like a body or, something. And you look back and this thing's like lunging at you.
Oh, God.
So that happens all the time. But at the same time, it's like you kind of have to explore because otherwise you won't have much to survive off of. So it's been fantastic. I kind of had to get in the groove of the puzzle solving and like how these type of games worked back in the day, where it's like you have to, every place you think you've explored, you might not have explored. Like in the apartments, I was stuck for like an hour and a half. I was like, what am I missing? And sure enough, it was the one room that I swore I looked in but didn't. And also it's because I didn't learn how to read the map properly. Like I didn't realize that the map was also filling in spaces with like this sort of, it almost looks like it's aged, like aging on it, because it's like a clean map, and as you go through, it kind of ages more.
Oh,
so I figured that out about 7 hours into the game. It's like, oh, now it makes more sense. Like I thought the maps were just crumpled and old because it's Silent Hill. But I've been enjoying it. I hope you'll get to play it because it's a crazy adventure. I feel like for you, like you'll just be like totally on nerve the whole time.
Yeah. It's a weird thing with my horror, what would you call it? Threshold.
Yeah.
Because like I enjoy the sci-fi horror, so Dead Space is right up my alley. Recently, we watched the Alien Romulus movie.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
That was a great movie. But like other things, when it gets towards the creepier side of things, like Silent Hill with mannequins just sort of like walking at you when you're not looking, that will get me.
Yeah, there's stuff for me. Like I have a very high threshold for these things. Like I don't like those Gorefest movies. Like we were talking about like Terrifier last week. It's like,
yeah,
I don't care about watching those, but it's like for games, like I really don't care one way or another. But the animation of this game, and like there's no real music, right? It's just sort of like ambient sounds and fog and whatever else going on. And then like the lighting in here is just so good because like there's a certain boss where it's like he's coming through the roof, but he's like caged up. It's really weird. Like he's in like almost like a coffin, but he's crashing through the ceiling. And then he sprawls like spider legs after that and just crawls around. Yeah. So you see him like skittering off in the distance as the light casts on like one of his legs. Like, oh my God, like he's coming after me. Like I know this is coming.
Yeah. When you have to use the word skittering to describe something, that's when you get me. Like,
yeah.
I think it also depends on the main character, where like in Resident Evil, you're the Special Forces STARS unit. Like, that you're a badass and you can probably
you're
handle
adept
this.
to combat in some way.
And like in Doom, and especially Doom 2016, you are definitely a badass. Like they have legends about you in the demon world.
Yeah.
And then you get like Resident Evil 7 and maybe the Silent Hills, where you're just Joe Everyman and you're having to face these things with like very limited ammo, and you're like, I don't know if I can.
It's two sides of the coin there. And that's what I love about Resident Evil 7 and the Silent Hill 2 remake, is because you're playing as James. Like the whole thing is, he's just a normal guy. His wife died 3 years ago, and he suddenly got a letter from her in Silent Hill saying like she's alive and wants to see him, whatever. So you're going down this. To me, it's sort of like I never finished the original. I got through most of it, and I watched my brother play through most. I don't think he finished it too, but I didn't get to see the ending, which is good. Yeah. But it just seems like the further you're going in the Silent Hill, the further you're descending into madness. Like, at some point, like I literally just went to like this giant hole in a prison. Like he just walked, he just jumped in. No rhyme or reason. Like he just looked in there, he's going. It's like, okay, well, where are we going with this thing? Like there's a staircase that I swear to God was like the Metal Gear Solid 3 ladder, where I was like, is this like a puzzle I'm missing? Like I've been walking for a while.
The endless stairs to Bowser.
Yeah. And that's what happens. Like eventually I got down. I swear to God, it was like a solid minute of going down the stairs. It was like, this is like just claustrophobic and unnerving. This is amazing. So I'm having a great time with that. I'm trying to get through that because obviously there's a lot of other games I've been playing as well. I'm still going through Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which I just love more every time I get to sit down and play that one. I'm about 12 hours into that. I don't know how many dungeons I have left, but I just been like kind of chipping away like one dungeon a night or one sort of big section a night. And the further you get in that game, the more the puzzles open up and the more echoes you get. So it's like you have way more options for traversal, and you could use like anything you can really imagine, which works with like, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in some sense, but it's like scaled down.
Yeah.
So it's like if there's a giant mountain you want to scale, you could just put these water cubes you have that could stack, and you could swim up the water cubes and just jump on the top of the platform. And then, like I'm at a point now where I beat like an echo of Ganon to rescue the king, and I have to go after the 3. I think they call them prime powers, but they're like from Ocarina of Time. It was like Din's Fire, and I forgot the other 2.
Oh yeah, Faeror's Wind.
Yeah, so there's spins on that, there are twists on that. We have to go clear out the rifts to get those.
They're like the 3 fairies that represent each Triforce piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the point I'm at in the game. I don't know how much I have left, but I've been loving every moment of that. And that's really like the 2 big things I've been playing, because there's also other things like Dragon Ball Sparking that I'm getting into. I really enjoy that, but it is ungodly hard. Like,
oh great!
I'm a fighting game fan through and through, but this is just like, I think they've tuned the difficulty too high on the main like mode it has for like this episode thing, because it's just freaking brutal. So I've been enjoying that as much as I can. I'm kind of like splitting time. But it's really just been Zelda and Silent Hill 2, which Silent Hill 2 I can't wait to finish, because there's also New Game Plus, and there's multiple endings, which I hope I can try to get through. But God do say, like, I'm so happy to be surprised by how good that game ended up.
Yeah, that was a good surprise there. I have been seeing clips of that Dragon Ball game, and like, there's this one impossible fight that people are saying, like, oh, once you see it, you'll know.
Giant ape Goku or something like that. He's hard. I've gotten to
it. But then I hate the freaking comment section where they're just like, oh, you just have to get good. You just have to learn
it's
the
flat
system.
out cheap.
And it's like, no, a game can be cheap even if you're good at it, like Mortal Kombat 2 and all that.
Yeah, so it's the thing is, like, I'm actually impressed with how deep the game is, because there's a lot of different combat mechanics that you have to learn, and like the game's really fast. Beyond that, like, it looks like a Dragon Ball episode, right? But the thing is like, the AI is just cheap. Like, they can dodge everything. Like, it feels like they're reading your inputs. So I think there's a difference, obviously, between getting good and just being outdone by AI programmed to beat you and understand every move you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what falls in here. It's like, it's probably great. I love the game so far, but I'm saying, as far as like the AI, like, it's just cheap and not fun. It's different when you're playing like, online or anything else, because you're obviously playing with a human.
Yeah, nobody's gonna have like the lightning fast reflexes.
And it's great because this game kind of feels like Virtual On to me, like that old mech game on the Saturn and Dreamcast, where it's like you can move in like 8 different directions. Like, you have a bunch of different attacks to advance on your opponent, to go away. It's almost like a flying mech game, but Dragon Ball. It's a great time though. I'm enjoying it. It's just, I hope they tune down the difficulty, because even turning down the difficulty when you lose a fight, it's just brutal. Like,
yeah,
I'm not terrible at fighting games. I'm like, this is just crazy. Like, anytime you get a hit, all of a sudden I can't get a hit in. Like, what's going on here? It's worse than the arcades. You know? Yeah. But anyway, Juicy, I think that's a good point where we can start talking about some Doom. All right, Deucey. Doom, one of the most legendary, important games in history, was originally released December 10th, 1993. So this game just celebrated its 30th anniversary last year. Where did you play Doom? Like, when did you first play Doom?
It must have been on Super Nintendo.
That's what I assumed it was the most easiest way to play.
My neighbor, our friend Mervin, had it, and he brought it over, and I was just like, well, this is awesome. Like, and it didn't matter like that there was like the violence and the blood or anything like that. It was just, you're killing monsters, so go at it.
Yeah, like, I think at the time, because I originally played the PC version on my PC, and I'd gotten through, like, I only had the shareware version, I think it was, because I had like a disc, and like I couldn't get very far at the time. It was actually pretty hard. So like, I only got through the first few levels, and I played it. Then I only heard about it through a friend, because he was playing it, and it makes a pretty incredible first impression. I'll tell you that much. And I think back then, like, we just, beyond the fact that we're young, we didn't really notice, like, how violent it was, or like there's corpses exploding, or demons just throwing fireballs at you. It was just awesome. Visceral.
There were tons of games at that time that were shooting things. Like, I had probably already seen RoboCop versus Terminator, so that was a lot of shooting, and Contra definitely had all the,
that's true too,
the shooting. So this was just, I never saw it as like shooting people. That would come later in GoldenEye. This was like, even though there are those little soldier guys, they weirdly barked.
Well, and they had like gargled voices.
Yeah.
Like, they sounded like demonic moans.
Yeah,
they
they
didn't sound like
just
humans.
seemed like other monsters to me.
Yeah, like exactly. That's how I perceived it too. Is like they were just monsters, just like every other monster I'm shooting in this game. And
Yeah.
whatever else. So it's interesting. Like our perspective, because we were young, wasn't so negative to it, but we were just like, yeah, this feels great.
But they definitely used this along with some others to get the ratings board on there.
Oh, they did. Yeah, we'll get into that too, because this was also the impetus for that whole 1993 Congress meeting where they tried to they tried to censor video games and say it was just bad for kids, I guess.
Yeah,
a little bit of nonsense on there.
I do remember you also let me borrow this on PC, and I think I had this and Doom 2 thanks to you.
Yeah.
And also thanks to back in the day where you could install a game and not need the disc
exactly.
anymore.
Yep. It's like, you want to borrow this and have it? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I still have that disc, actually, the Ultimate Doom. I'll post that on Instagram as well, but I still have the Ultimate Doom.
Awesome.
I wish I had the box and everything, but I just have the case because I'm pretty sure that's the one I had given to you to copy on your computer back then.
Yep.
So this game, it's really rooted in the 4 people because it's the beginnings of id Software. So the 4 big key people in this game were John Carmack, John Romero, Adrian Carmack, who's not related to John Carmack.
That is the weirdest coincidence.
It is a really weird coincidence.
That is not a common name.
Especially in the 90s, where it's not like you're Googling people or whatever else, right? You're just kind of coming across them. And also Tom Hall. But the 2 notable people really at sort of the heart of Doom, even though it's really a collective effort for all 4, the people who were really just kind of the driving force behind it were John Carmack and John Romero. Both of them are 2 people that I really enjoy listening to. Like I watched a lot of their sort of keynote and technical talks and postmortems for games. And they're just like the most nerdiest game nerds who just love programming and art and everything else. And like, they just love the video game medium. So it's always great to listen to them. I highly recommend everyone out there, like just go YouTube, John Carmack or John Romero. They have a lot of great things to say. They have a lot of insight, and they should, because they really originated first person shooting and deathmatch and everything that's been, that exists today, really. And their origins really started at this company called Apogee and Softdisk. So back then, this was like in probably like the late 80s. John Carmack and John Romero, they were both had separate lives before this. They had met at Softdisk. Both had a background in programming. John Carmack was definitely the like technical wizard of programming. Like he dropped out of high school. I think he just graduated high school actually. Didn't go to college, but he taught himself programming. There's an anecdote I read in John Romero's book where he said like when they were programming Quake, John Carmack didn't know trigonometry, so he taught himself trigonometry. And this is like, again, in the 90s where it's like you have an internet with videos and tutorials, someone teaching you this thing. He's like just reading books to the library or whatever else. So he's just a brilliant technical mind. And like when you hear him talk, it sounds like a computer talking to you, because he just can like break down the physics of light and how it works programmatically and everything. It's really incredible. Like he's just a genuine joy to watch if you're in any kind of technicality or any kind of technical field.
Did he have to teach himself that because Quake was fully 3D compared to Doom?
Fully 3D, and there's also they needed to do certain math for certain physics in the game. I forgot what it was for specifically. I don't know if it's for lighting or something else. So he realized he needed more complex math than what he knew.
Damn.
And he went and learned that complex math to apply it in the programming environment. It's really incredible. So those 2 guys, John Romero and John Carmack, they really bonded over their love for like D&D and metal music. So they worked at Softdisk together. They were developers who worked for their monthly publishing at Softdisk magazine, and they eventually decided that they can make their own company, and they named it id Software because they had a little group called Ideas from the Deep. And John Carmack at this time, like you have to understand, like first person shooters wasn't really a thing. Like they would have first person perspective games, but it's really just one screen at a time, right? It was the dungeon crawlers.
I was gonna say it's like those D&D fantasy games where you step forward and then you can step to the left, but everything kind of looks the same. Yeah,
and also like the other first person games that did exist at the time, they were really like you would turn and would redraw, right?
Yeah.
Turn, redraw. And it's interesting because, before they did this, like John Carmack was looking at those games, and that's the thing is they're always looking at how the game engine can support the game they're trying to make, right? Like they would design the game and decide what they want to make the game, and then they had to figure out how to make a technical engine that would power that game, right? So it's like they want to make sure that anything that was driving the game could support every aspect of their design. So it's like, if there's going to be like a magic wand or something, right? They had to make sure that the engine they coded would support a magic wand. Versus nowadays, like everything is such a, there's so many licensed engines like Unity, Unreal, there's Game Maker. Those are sort of like out of the box
RE engine,
right? Those are out of the box engines where they're kind of scalable to different games. But back then, it's like you didn't really have Unreal license or anything like that, right? It was just like you would design a game, then you would make an engine that would support that game.
What are Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal on?
So that's what's great is they're built on id Tech, that's proprietary id engine.
So they made their own modern
but
engine.
it's like it's rooted in Doom still, like the original Doom, because that was sort of id's original engine that would eventually power first-person shooters later on, right?
Nice.
So they're on like id Tech 7, I think now, and of course like Doom and Doom Eternal, and there's Doom Dark Ages coming out. They're like some of the most technically impressive games you'll still see, right? Just from how well they run, how well they look, and how they scale across all kinds of different hardware.
It's so weird how these games are definitely modern looking, but when you play them, they still feel like those old games.
Yeah.
Like deep down, the engine is driving
it's
that.
Somehow there in the core.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. Yeah. So Scott Miller at Apogee Software, which would later become 3D Realms, which made like Duke Nukem and all the other Doom, or sort of they would call them what they call them, build engine games.
Yeah.
He reached out to Romero, and they eventually got a partnership to develop these games under a series called Commander Keen. There are these like side-scrolling platform games. I didn't really get to play them ever until I was like older because they're just on like Apple IIs and old PCs.
I've seen some screenshots of those, and it looks like the precursor to like the side-scrolling Duke Nukem games.
Yeah, very much like that, right?
Yeah.
And they made a few episodes. I think they made 5 or 6 episodes, and then exactly. And back then, it's different now. Like episode context kind of like looked down upon sometimes.
Yeah.
But back then, like they released like an episode a month or where it was, and that was like your thing. It's like here's Commander Keen episode 1, and if you wanted to wait for the story in like a month or 2, and also that meant that like the team, like John Romero, John Carmack, and the whole team there were developing these games non-stop because they have a monthly game to publish, and they always put in like 30 games or where it was. So they were just like, at this time, like from what I read in John Romero's book, like they were young, they were just like driven to code, like that's all they loved doing. So they'd be up like 17 hours coding away and like go to sleep, start coding. They were living like the bachelor nerd life of bachelor nerd life in the 80s is pretty much what it was. And eventually they decided that they want to do something totally different than the Commander Keen games, and this is kind of like where the beginnings of first-person shooting really happened with Wolfenstein 3D. So this predates Doom by about a year and a half. This came out in May 1992. This is widely considered as the grandfather of 3D shooters. And it was inspired by the 1981 Apple II game Castle Wolfenstein, which I have no familiarity with, which I knew about, but I just never...
Yeah.
When I was a kid, like Wolfenstein was totally new to me until I rented it for Super Nintendo.
I thought there was, because like Wolfenstein 3D, they had to specify the 3D of it, where I knew that there was something before that, but I never had seen anything on it.
Yeah, right.
And also, was Wolfenstein 3D like the third one? Was there a couple Castle Wolfensteins before that?
I am not totally sure because I think they just call it Wolfenstein 3D because it was 3D.
Yeah, finally.
And that was the whole thing. It's like this was sort of the first time that Carmack dipped into making an engine that was 3D. Now Wolfenstein 3D is, you could tell it's a lot like Doom, right? Like it has the same format, like the same, HUD on the bottom with the weapons and like Doom guy's face.
Yeah.
Right. Except in here, it's like the ceilings are like one color. There's a lot less texture work because this is like sort of the prototype of the Doom engine. And what they did at the time, how Carmack solved this issue of smooth scrolling was that he would only draw what was in the field of vision of the user, right? So instead of like rendering everything around you in 3D or just fully rendering the entire environment, it's literally rendering like that cone of view.
Whoa.
So as you're scrolling, it's just, sort of like deleting the left side or whatever side it's, you're not in view of, and then rendering everything that's coming into view.
But can't you still get shot from behind in that game?
Well, that doesn't mean it's not being rendered in that sense, though, because
okay.
That's the thing. It's like things could still be happening behind you, but it's just what is in view and rendering, so it doesn't kill your hardware or your frame rate.
I mean, yeah,
it's just good. In view. Yeah, and even then, like I think scrolling was so slow anyway that like I think all the animations in Wolfenstein 3D were pretty primitive to begin with.
Yeah, no, there was only like the dogs that came after you had like 2 different running
yeah,
motions.
Exactly. It's still a fun game. Like it's definitely dated. I like I said, I rented that on the Super Nintendo back then, not knowing what it was. And I'm sure I rented it before Doom. I was just like, I didn't know what to do though. Like I was getting killed. I just had no idea what a first person shooter was.
For the longest time, I was like
7.
I had forgotten or didn't know that it was on Super Nintendo. I knew that Doom was on there.
Yeah.
But like the Wolfenstein, I had always heard the name and I had always heard that it was the precursor to Doom, but I always thought it was on PC and I could never obtain it. Like I could never play it, even though I'm sure even my very first computer could have probably run Wolfenstein.
It could. I think both of ours could. It's just, like we weren't into PC. We didn't look for these things back then. Like Doom was probably the most noble PC games I knew at the time. Everything else was just kind of in my peripheral that I had no idea about. You know?
And then when I finally did play it, it was on Xbox 360 on the Live Arcade.
I remember when they released it because I bought it the day it came out.
And I was like, oh, this is fun, but now I want to play Doom because this is slow.
Yeah. It's a lot different. Yeah.
It is the grandfather of 3D shooters, literally.
It really is. Yeah. But it's still notable for its own reasons, obviously. Like, it's a pretty great game, even in its own right. It's just, it's more dated than Doom, which is ironic because they're not that far apart.
You can't hate on killing Nazis.
Of course not. No. Especially when you know, the end is like you just blasting Hitler away. It's fantastic. Mecha Hitler, yeah. So after Wolfenstein was done, and by the way, the fun note about the Super Nintendo port for Wolfenstein is apparently it was done in like 7 weeks because they were working on Doom, and then I guess the team at id didn't really know that they, you know, like I guess they were contracted to do a Super Nintendo port, but you know, I guess it was something that was just asked of them like late into things, and they somehow managed to, you know, crank out a port in 7 weeks, and it's kind of a miracle it even runs on the Super Nintendo because it's also before the Super Effects chip.
Yeah, that's what helped Doom run.
It did, exactly. So the Doom port was, you know, significant in its own ways, but I think Wolfenstein 3D on Super Nintendo is pretty crazy that like it was doing the 3D Doom thing before Super Effects could help it out. But development on Doom started in November 92, and the name Doom came from a 1986 Tom Cruise movie called The Color of Money. It's a really fun pool movie. I really like it a lot. But there's a scene there where like he's in this bar. He's like a pool hustler. And this guy asks him, he's like, oh, what's in the case? And he's like, in here? And then he opens it and it says, Doom. And he just like smiles at the guy. And I guess that struck Carmack in whatever way. And he's like, that's what we're calling the game, Doom. And then Carmack, again, like because their roots in the Dungeons and Dragons, like they kind of set up the story in Doom based on their D&D campaign. So they said that like the whole thing was Carmack conceived this idea that, you know, humanity would create this technology that would basically sort of backfire and summon demons into their world, which is really what the story of Doom is.
Always.
Exactly, right? It's the whole thing. It's like we're going to make this great technology that's going to help humanity.
That's the story of most like sci-fi horror.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. It's like it makes perfect sense because it's also rooted in like that whole sci-fi thing where it's like, you know, we're trying to help humanity, like they're trying to colonize Mars, wherever, and we're building this technology and we're experimenting with, and oops, we've unleashed hell.
Yeah, literally
on the Mars, and it's coming to Earth. So that's kind of where the Doom came from, is just this Dungeons and Dragons campaign. You'll find that with like a lot of id's games, it's like it's rooted in their D&D in some way. Like Quake was even supposed to be more rooted in like the mystical sense of D&D, but that whole project, you know, that's a whole nother separate podcast episode what that is.
Well, if any dungeon masters out there want to make a Doom campaign, sign me up.
I think that'd be really funny. Yeah. I'm sure one exists, actually. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. So Tom Hall, he's significant because he sort of created the Doom Bible, which it detailed the game's plot, backstory, and all the design goals. This was eventually going to be the basis, and eventually they ended up knocking most of it away because they just felt like that it was too much of a military design, and it wasn't different enough from what Wolfenstein was doing. And they kind of pushed all those ideas away so that Romero can make, he suggested everything should be like even more brutal and faster than Wolfenstein, because that's always the thing that it seemed to be, is like, we can make a new game, but we need to make something that's even better than what we did last time. There's no retreading the same, you know, the same road. It's like something has to be done that's brand new. It's something that hasn't been seen before. And that's really what Doom ended up being. It's like there's their first step in saying like, we're bigger and better than the last game we did.
That's kind of weird though, because Doom 2 felt like more of the same.
It did, yeah. I think that's the thing, is like with those later expansions, it was just like their success got so big that they just wanted more and more Doom. Like they had the Doom, they had the Ultimate Doom pack where it's like it had a whole other episode.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like they kind of tread the same water, but then it's like that's what happened with Quake. That was their next step. But it's also like Doom 2 and the other Dooms, like they released within like 2 years of Doom 1, right? Because Quake came out 96.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like within that 3 years of, or the end of 93, really, within that 2 years, they released a ton of Doom, but it's also like they were cranking them out because they could. And making money.
I recently played No Rest for the Living, and that was their first new episode in 2010, which is crazy to think. Like 2010, after all these things that happened in 94, 95, 93. But it very much felt like Doom, and it's only 9 levels, like one pack, but they just throw everything and the kitchen sink at you.
Yeah.
From like early on in about the second level, all of a sudden you're getting those like spider brain monsters and everything. And you're like, I'm not ready for this.
And that's what they were doing, is like when I was reading John Murrow's book, he was talking about how when they would sort of tune the game, it was always tuned to ultraviolence. And also, it's like they realized like people were playing this game so much that they had to make it more and more difficult, and that's why you see like in that episode where things are just ramped up to 11 because it's like they tried to break you is what it was.
Yeah.
So what else? So Adrian Carmack, no relation to John Carmack, like I mentioned earlier, he was lead artist on this game, and he designed the monsters to be really nightmarish and more realistic. And they also use like stop motion models for like the cyber demons, a lot of the models, like the what do they call them, the imps. So he did a lot of that work for them. And then the level and graphic data. This is why I think Doom is the most significant, or one of the most significant games ever. They stored all the game and graphic data on these little files called WAD, W-A-D, and it stands for Where's All the Data. And this was designed by Carmack so that the game could be changed without changing engine code. So it's almost like a modular way to update the game without having to redo the engine code or like bug test for that, right? This was just sort of they're like, we have the engine. This is how we're going to work with the engine by building another tool that allows you to do whatever you want. And that cracked open the entire modding scene is what that would do, because Carmack and basically the team at id were all about like open source, because again, like Doom's success was heavily based on shareware, which was this inkling or an idea where they released the first episode for free, which was incredible, right? I saw it, I think it was like, was it 9 or 10 levels, somewhere around there?
9
levels,
8 or 9,
8 or 9, somewhere around there. And that's how they would hook people. It's like, if you get the first episode free, you could give it to your friends. If you want the full game, send us $40 in the mail and we'll give it to you.
That first episode is definitely the one I've played the most.
Yeah.
On every version.
And you know what's ironic about that first level is that was the last level Romero designed, because his whole philosophy with that was, I want to design all the other levels so that by the time I finish those, I know how to make a really good level, and I can make a big first impression with that first level, which it does. Like the hangar, like the moment you step in that level.
But it's also like the shortest one in the history of the series.
It is, yeah. But it's also meant to be like that introductory level anyway. It works out. Like it's just meant to get you shooting stuff, look for secrets.
I was going to say finding secrets, different... I think every different type of secret trigger is in the first level.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's the whole thing, is they want to show you all the tricks. And like one of the things that I didn't really think about, they also talked in the book, was how, like there's a window where you could see like the other side of the map.
Yeah.
And in most games back then, like that was just, it was literally like window dressing. It was just scenery. But Doom was like one of the first games where it's like eventually like you go through this labyrinth-like level and you'd get on the other side somehow. There's usually like a secret or some sort of a quad damage orb or something.
Yeah.
There's always some sort of secret on there.
Yeah, somehow you can get outside to what you're seeing.
Yeah. And one of the major improvements over Wolfenstein's engine was that walls and floors were varied with angles and height and improved lighting, which sounds like a thing we take for granted these days.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, there's a great video that I'll post on Instagram where it's basically just like a home video of the id offices in 1993. And it's great because in one of the early scenes, you see the team playing Aladdin on Genesis. And then they cut to the team playing Doom, and they're marveling at the stairs in this game. Like how you can go up and down them and how fast and smooth it is. And like I'm thinking to myself, like I'm watching this in 2024, it's like their minds are blown by the fact that like they're going upstairs in a first-person game.
Yeah.
In 1993, like how incredible is that,
And it's funny, I just watched that video on Condemned, and the person playing it was commenting on how slowly you go upstairs in that game.
Yeah.
And here's Doom over here. You're just turbo buttoning over the stairs.
Blasting right
And it was the first stairs that anybody'd ever seen. Like, Wolfenstein very much looks like that maze screensaver.
It does. The Windows 95 one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whereas Doom, all of a sudden, you put one angle in a wall and suddenly your minds are blown and you can do all sorts of things.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a totally fair thing. It's like, to me, like it's pretty incredible when you look at Wolfenstein in 92 and then just a year later what Doom is, because they're two sides of the same coin, but they couldn't be any more different from each other as far as like how technology moved forward with them. And I think Doom, it's like, to me, that's like the landmark PC game, especially in the early 90s, for good reason.
I actually, until I read your notes on this, I didn't realize Wolfenstein was that close to Doom. I thought it was like...
It felt like it was earlier.
I thought it was made in like 88 or 89.
Yeah.
Like that was when the original was, but I figured that the way that early 3D looks, it looked very much like, oh, we're just starting.
Mm-hmm. And then Doom is like, oh, we figured everything out.
Yeah,
it's cool.
In less than a year.
Yeah. So with the release of Doom, id chose to self-publish this because this was obviously to make the most money from selling directly to people. They would make up to 85% of the $40 price tag. And the team was working to the 11th hour in December 93 of the release. Like, and even in Romeo's book, he's talking about how, like, I forgot what bug they reached. It was something with, like, the multiplayer, where it was. And they diagnosed that and fixed that, like, literally, like, the last few minutes before they uploaded it. And it's crazy because this is a time when the internet was not as ubiquitous as it is now. Like, it's really limited to, like, you know, like college networks, or like
or the military,
or BBS or military. Yeah. And Doom was eventually released to the internet December 10th, 1993. And at the time, they were unable to connect to the FTP server because they uploaded it to the University of Wisconsin, because that's kind of like where they were playing the host Doom. And there was so much anticipation for the game that it crashed the whole network at the university. And then they had to get the admin to kick off everyone off the network. And then they had to, once everyone was off the network, that's when they could actually upload Doom. And then after that, there was like 10,000 people trying to download Doom all at once. And at this time, they were making like $100,000 daily, which is unbelievable to me. You're making that much in 1993. Whereas, you know, at the before that, Wolfenstein was making like $100,000 a month, which was a huge success, right? Because a lot of games weren't making that much money at all. And they were making $100,000 a day. And by 1994, it was estimated that Doom was installed on more computers than Windows 95, which I find incredible, that there was more people, more Doom than there was operating systems on people's computers. And by April 1998, they estimated that the shareware edition of Doom had sold 1.35 million and earned about $9 million in revenue. And other estimates in 2000 said that it was actually 10 to 20 million people had played Doom within the first 2 months, or within the first 2 years of release.
Wasn't there talk of Microsoft trying to get Doom as like sort of an install game with Windows?
They did partner with them for Windows 95, because there's like a Windows 95 Doom edition, right?
Yeah.
It was sort of like their upgrade from DOS. So that was like their big thing. Like, there's actually a great video that, you know, of course, man, it's around the internet over the last couple of decades, where Bill Gates is in like this slicker. He's got a shotgun.
Oh yeah,
right. And behind him is like
from.
Doom playing on Windows 95. That was wise, because Microsoft offered them money to port Doom on Windows 95, because that was gonna be like the landmark flagship, you know, Windows 95 game.
Yeah.
So, geez, dude, like this game, like it's freaking amazing. So I'm glad we're covering it. But as far as, you know, your revisit, what did you think about Doom?
Oh, the way that they have it now with that new UI and having all of the additional expansion packs, I guess you could call them, all readily available in one menu. It is so much easier, because for a while there on the Switch one and basically the modern Dooms on Xbox One, PS4, PS5, those, you could go in and there's like mod files.
Yeah.
And you can play everything that's ever been created. But now they've made like the big ones, the official ones, as if they're their own games.
Yeah, which, again, this is part of the Night Dive collection that they released a couple months ago,
yeah.
I think it was. But yeah, the UI is really nice for that, because it does consolidate everything that's really part of like the main Doom. There's also a ton of mods you can download, like even on consoles, which is great. But yeah, I'd say like for $10,
yeah.
Even though you probably would have bought Doom before, you should definitely just get that Doom 1 and 2 pack, because it's Doom.
And like the remixed music and everything, I love that because I've played the original level so many times, and the song sounds so much like Metallica. Mm-hmm. But now, like, there's a new modern spin on it and everything, and I just want to go to every level and see, even though some of the later levels I don't remember the music as well, but now just hearing the more modernized versions of it, I'm like, yes, it feels like I'm playing Doom 2016, but like the old classic pixelated versions.
Yeah, the OG.
Yeah, a demake of that, if you will.
Yeah, the music. So the original Doom, the music was done by Bobby Prince, and you know, the team at id were definitely just metalheads. Like Ramel's talking, like they would just be blasting Slayer and, you know, Anthrax and Metallica and Megadeth and all those bands. So that's why there's such a heavy influence. Like, even their first level sounds like Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
There's a level in there that sounds like it's Pantera's Mouth for War. Which is also why it resonates so well with me, because like as soon as you hear that, at least for me, like you just, I don't know, you're in a good spot at that point, you know?
I played also the most recent one, the one that they have made for this Night Dive. I think Night Dive helped on it.
Yeah.
Legacy of Rust, I think it's called.
Yeah, it was Night Dive, I think Sledgehammer Games, and id. Like, it was like a collaborative effort between them.
And that one, it's a little weird because it's starting to not feel as Doom-like. I mean, all the levels and the walls and the enemies are Doom, but it also feels very heavily influenced by Duke Nukem or Ion Fury, a lot of the modern first-person
boomer shooters.
Yeah. And then the music in that one is weird because it's starting to also feel like how we talked about Symphony of the Night, how it has a great soundtrack, but the soundtrack doesn't quite fit the aesthetic, the theme to it.
Yeah.
I was just like, and then also these levels are huge on Legacy, and I was stuck in the second level for like 35 minutes.
Oh my God.
Because, every level has a timer. And I was just stuck in there because of the puzzle you have to do. And every time I would fall off, I would have to redo it. And like the music weirdly did not last very long. It's like I saw the par time at the end. It said 1:30.
Oh my God.
I'm like, screw you. There's no way in hell anybody could speedrun that. But also it felt like the music was meant for that because it would loop. And like I'm like, oh, okay. And like the music would actually have its own ending point. As if you were listening to this on a soundtrack, oh, that's where the music fades out and here comes the next track.
Yeah.
But in this one, the same track would start over again, and I'm like, I feel like you're mocking me, song.
That's almost kind of like an old school sensibility, it's like the song would loop because you're stuck in a level for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I still have to play the new episode because I only got to play some of the Doom 1 because that's like really what I was playing most of is like the first couple episodes of that.
Yeah.
And it's like no matter how many times I play Doom, I could still get into all the same because it's just cut and dry. Like we were talking about it before we record, like you just get lost in it no matter how quickly, like you're like, I'll just play for like an episode or two, or a level or two. And it's like you'll get through a whole episode because the levels feel like they're pretty long in some instances, especially if you're trying to seek out secrets. Because I think that's one big thing that they did well in here was secrets. Like they're pretty hard to find, and like you kind of have to nudge against a certain wall. Like you kind of tell a texture difference. But usually they're worthwhile. There's always like ammo. Sometimes there's enemies behind them.
that Legacy one, I've done like the first 2.5 levels. I haven't found a single secret in any of those levels.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
I was like, what are you guys doing? But yeah, the originals, it's funny how I can still remember probably the first 3 levels. I can remember all the secrets. And then after that, it gets a little hazy. I don't think I've ever beaten all 4 episodes of the original Doom 1.
I did way back, like on PC, like 19 or like late 90s.
Yeah.
Back then. I don't think I've beaten it since then. Like I always end up just getting to like the first, second or third episode on there. But it's like I don't know why I don't just go through it because the game does get harder as it goes along. Where there's 28 levels, and they all have like I think like you said, there's like 8 or 9 levels per episode.
Yeah.
And then Thy Flesh Consumed, it's like the 4th episode that they released later. That was on the Ultimate Doom. And that was really, again, like as far as like releasing Doom multiple times over, the reason they did that is because they want to incentivize the Ultimate Doom in a boxed copy. So they want to encourage people to buy it. And it's like, what better way to do that than to just add a whole other episode and give you a reason to put a boxed copy on the shelf. And there's also like these unofficial add-ons for Doom that are kind of considered part of the story. Romero did them too. They're Sigil 1 and 2, which I haven't gotten too far into Sigil 1. I played a few levels, and it feels very much like Doom. Like he released it, I think it was 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
But, it's crazy. Again, it's like 1993 to 2017, you're still getting like new Doom on 1993 Doom.
I even owned Final Doom on PlayStation, and that has a couple ones they call, was it TNT?
Yeah.
Evolution, which like a company named TNT helped make those. And I remember really liking that game. It just didn't dawn on me that like this was the only place you could play these episodes until now. Like they brought them out in the Night Dive collection. But I was just like excited for any and all types of Doom. It didn't matter if I was replaying the first level or playing some of the new stuff. But then some of the new stuff kind of got a little like too wide open for me and too long when it comes to the levels.
I agree. I think Doom works the best when it's like in these confined areas where it's like there's, I don't want to say confusing level design, but it's sort of like complex level design where it's like you really have to make like a mental note of like landmarks and where you're going, and also use the auto map, which again was a huge feature back then. We take maps for granted these days as well, but back then you really need to use it. But I agree. Like I'm not a big fan of the open areas. But then it's like you look at games that are kind of like Doom, like Star Wars Dark Forces, and like the open areas actually benefit that better. But I think with Doom, because of how the combat is, like it works better when it's in those sort of narrower tunnels, or like the more like what I'm trying to say, like more indoor areas better than outdoor.
Yeah, like with a game like Duke Nukem, I feel like a lot of his weapons are explosive based, and you kind of want more room so that you don't end up just blowing yourself up.
Yeah.
Whereas in Doom, the only thing that can really self hurt you is the rocket launcher. So it doesn't matter if you're in a narrow corridor because you're probably just using bullets everywhere.
And also, one thing I want to touch on with Doom is the BFG 9000.
Oh, yes.
A little bit of weapon talk, talking about things exploding. It's called the Big Fucking Gun 9000 for good reason. I remember that was like a thing when I was a kid too. It's like, what is BFG? And then one of my friends told me.
Yeah, that was a playground like whisper and
it was
and a little giggle.
Yeah, I just want to call that weapon out because it is like one of the most badass weapons ever. It's just like this giant, like I don't know, sci-fi looking gun that shoots this green orb out. And it obliterates everything in the room.
It's a screen clearing weapon.
It's really incredible. And I didn't realize this, but it's not in the shareware version. So if you just, played episode 1 through the shareware version, you never got to see the BFG unless you bought the main game, which makes sense.
I also don't remember if it was in the Super Nintendo version.
Oh, you know what? I should have looked it up. I didn't think about that.
Because
I forget.
Maybe
I feel like that would kill the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Because I don't remember really even hearing about it until I played the PC version. Mm-hmm. And like I said, everybody on the playground was talking about it. But first of all, playing it on Super Nintendo, of course, Super Nintendo, you couldn't choose the episode you started on. You had to start at the hangar, and you went all the way through all 3 episodes, all 27 maps in order. And I think it was a password system, or there wasn't...
I think there was passwords.
There wasn't a save,
no,
like a save file,
save.
Which was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But I very rarely I think I only got to the 3rd episode, Inferno, maybe once, because by then you're just hurting.
Yeah. I guess we could talk a little bit about ports since you brought up Super Nintendo, because I will say Digital Foundry, I always talk about them on here. They did a really great video that talks about pretty much every major port of Doom up until 2015, 2016. I forgot what year it was. So they have a much more comprehensive look than we'll get into here. But yeah, the Super Nintendo version, I think it's amazing that it exists.
Yeah.
Because, when you look at it now, it's really ugly. It's blurry. The music sounds pretty good for what it is. It's definitely a compromised version over the PC version.
Yeah.
It's slower. And if I recall, you had Eleanor, which would also turn you, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like Jurassic Park. We were talking about that.
Because the control pad was walking and strafing.
Yeah.
You literally had to turn with the...
So that was already unusual to get used to begin with, because again, first person shooters for me were really limited back then. It was Wolfenstein, which I barely played because I rented for the one day. And I don't recall, maybe Jurassic Park, but even then I was terrible at that game.
Yeah.
So it was, the Doom port is what it is. They're actually coming out with an upgraded port of the Super Nintendo port through limited run. I think I sent it to you ways back. They're basically making it run smoother. I don't know what else they're doing. It's just an enhanced port. They're basically upgrading the port, optimizing it, because the Doom port for Super Nintendo again was the same thing as Wolfenstein, where they did it in a really short amount of time. I don't recall the time frame, but they cranked that thing out in a very short time in the middle of developing, I think, Doom 2. So they were doing things in parallel to that and releasing this. So again, to me, this is kind of a miracle port. And it's also amazing because it's just one of the few ways any Super Nintendo kid or console kid could play at the time.
Yeah, I think what's more of a miracle is that Nintendo of all companies said, yeah, sure, put it on.
That's also true.
Put it on our game.
And especially when, that whole Congress controversy was having with violent video games. In 1993, Joe Lieberman, which I heard in the podcast, they're rest in hell, Joe Lieberman. So I guess there's that.
Oh.
They're not too fond of him.
Yeah.
But he led this discussion in Congress where they're trying to sort of regulate and censor video games, saying they're too violent, because they cited games like Mortal Kombat, Night Trap, and Doom. As soon as that came out, it was just right in the bullseye for these people.
Yeah.
And yeah, for Super Nintendo, when they were apprehensive of releasing Mortal Kombat on there and censored, the Doom port, it's probably censored a little bit for its hardware limitations, but there's still a ton of blood. Things are exploding.
It's very pixelated.
But it's still pretty damn gory for a Super Nintendo game.
It's funny, when the enemies get too far away, they look like pixelated just squares, 3 different colors of a square.
Yeah. They look like a Tetris block almost.
Yeah.
There's also ports on the 32X, which isn't a great port, but again, if you happen to own a 32X, which I know most people did not, because it sold I don't know, 100,000 units or something like that.
What was the worst? Oh, the Jaguar.
The Jaguar one didn't have music. That one
also wasn't a really small screen.
Yeah, I think that was the one that was cropped all around, so it's like you had a much smaller field of view, and it looked okay. But yeah, there was no freaking music. I can't imagine playing Doom without any music.
Yeah,
and it also was like really dark if I remember around there too. And there's also PS1 and Saturn ports. Those are a little bit different. Those have different levels. They also have different music.
The lighting
is a lot different because they're also.
I was very surprised with that when Digital Foundry showed it.
Did you play the version you bought recently? Or
Not yet. No,
okay.
I should. I mean, I dusted off my PS2 for Resident Evil.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
you play that.
Should dig up the Doom game.
Yeah, and I played the PS1 port back then. I mean, I own it now, of course, but I had rented it. That was like one of the first PS1 games I rented because I knew it was going to be better than the Super Nintendo one. And to me, it was PC Doom back then, and I later learned that like a lot of people didn't like it because they thought it was just like a GIMP port. But I'm like, I didn't have a PC that could really run it well, and also I couldn't really play it often, and like the PS1 port was great for that.
Yeah, people tend to forget that PCs back in the day, even if you had one that could run it, it was probably a family computer.
Yeah,
and you had like relatives, siblings. And everybody was telling you to get off the computer so that they could use it.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, like my uncle who would yell at me for doing anything like that.
Yeah, for just having fun and enjoying
for just
life.
existing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. So that's the thing is like those PS1 and standard ports are totally fine. I think they're they're great ways to play it. Of course, nowadays it's like you can get Doom pretty much anywhere.
Yep.
And there's also Game Boy Advance ports, which I didn't get to play those, but I heard they were pretty solid. But again, it's so weird to play Doom on a Game Boy Advance. Like I just can't imagine doing that. But that was the thing. It was early 2000s.
I mean, I enjoyed the Duke Nukem port on Game Boy
I remember
Advance.
you played that one a lot.
Yeah, and I actually did not know there was a Doom port.
Doom 1 and 2 were on there.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what they cost for the carts. I know the box versions are like $150 each, so pretty pricey. So I imagine the carts are probably like 40 to 60. I didn't think to look that up, but I imagine they're pretty up there.
Well, shoot, I just showed you Duke the other day. I think the cart hit triple digits and the box is like 400.
It's crazy. I just think those first-person shooters on Game Boy Advance, like the GBA was, it's probably more of like a kids to teen system. I just don't think a lot of people were playing first-person shooters that much now, regardless of how good the ports could have been. Right? It was just not a thing. You had everything. You had everywhere else you could play, and maybe the PSP was out. I'm sure they had a port of Doom. It was in 2004.
It was either out or coming soon. With better games.
So it's like, I kind of get why those first-person shooter games like the Dukes and the Dooms probably aren't. I think Wolfenstein was also on Game Boy Advance.
Oh my god!
Yeah, but again, like I'm sure it's probably hard to find all the same.
That was probably an upgrade.
Yeah. So another thing I want to touch on, Deucey, before I guess we kind of start wrapping things up, multiplayer and deathmatch. This is really the beginnings of deathmatch. This was also you could do it over a local area network. Like the whole thing is the team at id wanted to make this like a multiplayer experience because they quickly realized how fun it was to just shoot the hell out of each other.
Oh yeah.
So they originated the term deathmatch. Like they didn't know what to call it, and I don't know how it came up. They just called it deathmatch. And this is probably the first game that you could play online in like a first-person setting and also kill each other in deathmatch. And again, this was early 90s, like 93, 94. This wasn't even on my radar at the time.
I, to this day, still have not played any deathmatch in any version.
I played it on the Xbox Live Arcade version back then. And that was like, what is it, like 2008-ish, whenever that port came out? I don't know what it was. And like it felt dated, right? Because you're just like running in a big area or in levels, and it was still fun. It's just by this time Call of Duty 4 had come out and everything else.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like it definitely felt dated, but I've seen videos back then, like there was big tournaments around this at the time, but I just think like it's significant because there's so much that's rooted in first-person shooters now with like multiplayer and deathmatch and game modes, and like, I mean, Call of Duty is like one of the biggest franchises still to this day. And it's all rooted in multiplayer, which Doom originated. Like that's why, to me, this is the most significant game, or one of the most significant games in history for that reason. Like there's so much that's influenced.
Yeah, I know. I just never had the opportunity to play it back then, but I'm pretty sure the Night Dive version lets you go on now.
They do, yeah. I think it's up to 16 players or something like that, which is also what the original had. I think they were able to get up to 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
That very much influenced GoldenEye and Halo.
Yeah, exactly. You can't mention another first-person shooter with any multiplayer, just any first-person shooter without saying Doom did this.
Yeah.
First, So it's like all those games we grew to love, it's somehow rooted in Doom.
What did we recently play? We played Quake with the guys, didn't we? A multiplayer.
We did, yeah. The remaster.
Yeah.
It was recently it was like a year ago, I think. But yeah, relatively
that's
recently.
true. Whenever we last recorded.
Yeah.
But like now you would play these, I think, for the novelty of it, like just a fun little couch co-op, laugh at the quaintness, you might say, like because Doom is going to be have even less of the modern technologies than Quake did.
Yeah. And I'll also say, like, the big things with these is it's like I've mentioned how Doom is like, it started with everything with Doom, but it's also like all the games that came after it, like even Duke, which released around the same time, like, they saw what they were doing with Doom, and then like Unreal, like this was really the birth of first-person shooters, no matter how you slice it to me.
Yeah.
So I just don't think like we can understate that. And I don't know, DC, like, is there anything else we could really add to what Doom is? I don't know.
No, not that I can think of. Like, I think we've pretty much, we can't emphasize it enough, like you said. Like,
yeah. I don't know. So I think at this point, maybe we'll just, you know what? Speedruns. I forgot to get into speedruns.
Oh,
so
and did they have any reviews? Oh yeah, you said they did not.
Yeah, so
weirdly.
That's the thing is, like, I was trying to get into reviews for this game because usually we cover reviews from like GamePro, Nintendo Power, and EGM. And those magazines just really didn't cover PC games at the time. So I couldn't really find anything else for like PC game or anything else. So basically, like, the generalized reviews I got for this game is like everyone loved it.
Yeah.
So reviews at the time, they're all saying like how it was just stellar. They label it as like the best PC game of all time. And they claimed that Doom Doom had done more to establish PC gaming more than any other game in history, which I think is fair. Like, there's a lot of hyperbole that can be said about certain games. I don't think that's overstating Doom at all. I think that's perfectly useful. And for them to say that in 1993, like, to recognize that is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, everything kind of builds off of this because there are other important PC games that incorporated a lot of online components.
Yeah.
Like, you look at World of Warcraft now and stuff
it's
like that.
It's still going.
Yeah, and like that whole online aspect started with Doom saying, hey, let's get a whole bunch of people together when we can't even be in the same room.
Yeah, exactly, which is incredible because that's like a whole different social aspect that,
yeah,
again, wasn't a thing in the early 90s. The internet didn't exist. So it's pretty amazing that it developed this whole new way to connect with people over a commonality. It's Doom. So you're there to rip and tear in each other is what it was. The only things I did see for reviews that were kind of negative and they were critical of, which wasn't even a big deal. They just said that it kind of lacked complexity because it was very much just shoot the hell out of everything, which is also fair. At the same time, that's all it needed to be. I don't think it needs to be anything more than what it was, which is just to go through these labyrinth maze-like levels and just shoot the hell out of demons that are moving.
Yeah, just let the future games take care of new improvements like objectives and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. Like that'll come way later. I think for what it is, like, this is just supposed to be it's almost like an arcade experience.
Yeah.
Like, it's not to me anything bigger than that.
Yeah, when you think about arcade games back then, like Area 51, where you've got the pistol and then the screen stays in one spot while you shoot everything, and then you sort of like move. They wanted to take that and go, here's your control over movement.
Yeah, you have a lot more agency over what you're doing and the experience versus just, like gun shooters on rails. It's just, the same thing's happening every single time.
Yep.
All right, so I guess we'll get into some speed runs here. So Doom is speed run across like every version. So I only captured like, basically like Ultimate Doom. There's not many runs for the original Doom and Ultimate Doom, but these are mostly like, I'm sure these are like a dedicated speedrunner base is what it is. Because I'm sure the other versions that exist later on, like mods and where else, probably have speedrunners. But these are more about the original Doom. And these are
on Ultraviolent.
On Ultraviolent, which Ultraviolent is considered sort of the standard difficulty. Because like I said, that's kind of what Romero would balance these levels around. Like when you place enemies and wherever else. It was always around Ultraviolence. That was sort of like how should you say? Like, that's sort of like the par for the Doom experience is Ultraviolence. Anything below that's like, it's Doom, but you're really meant to be playing on Ultraviolence. So that's kind of where the speedruns are rooted into. I
think I've done the first episode, a handful of levels on Ultraviolent. And then to get an achievement for this Night Dive one, they want you to do one mission on Nightmare.
Oh.
So, of course, I chose the very first one. And even that is literally a nightmare. Yeah. It took me like 3 or 4 tries.
It doesn't mess around. Like, Ultraviolent's tough as it is.
Yeah.
Like, I've only gone through a few the first couple episodes at best. And that's a struggle.
Yeah.
Because everything hits harder. There's more enemies. Like, I'd call it a nightmare, but they actually have Nightmare.
Yeah. Nightmare, the only difference is I think it's all the same enemy placement, but the enemies come back.
Yeah, they respawn.
Yeah, which is complete bull.
It's just demons are spilling in is what it is. Yeah. So these are on ultra-violent. This is ultraviolet speed category, which is just finish as fast as possible. And these are for episode 1 through 3, which again is sort of like the core Doom before Ultimate Doom came out, and they released an episode. And this is by Zello, Z-E-3-Ls-3-O.
Zello!
15 minutes, 37 seconds, which is crazy.
That is ridiculous.
And actually, you know what? I'm sorry. That's for episodes 1 through 4. I didn't get 1 through 3 on here.
Oh, okay.
But still, like, you know, you're talking about how it took you an hour and a half to get through that one level in the new episode.
No, just 35 minutes.
Oh, 35 minutes, excuse me.
But also, that is just one level.
It's just one level, yeah. Like the fact that
that's already twice as much as this person.
Yeah, and they got through 28.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. So I'm sure Zello is just a huge Doom fan. I wish I could get that good at Ultraviolent, like just to beat it.
I know. I mean, the first level you can run straight through because there aren't even any locked doors. Mm-hmm. And the only problem is on Ultraviolent, everything is hitting you. And we didn't even mention that the human like zombie characters are hit scan in this freaking game. Uh-huh. So like if they just see you, you're automatically losing health points.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, I guess we can point out here is like there's no vertical aiming in Doom, right? It's all like you say hit scan. So it's like, you know, your Doom guy, he's static and straightforward. Like he can't aim up or down. It's just you point and it shoots up and you know, it just zones in on him. Which is great, but it's also like, you know, nowadays it feels so weird to not have that.
Yeah.
Even though I think a lot of the modern ports include it, even though like you don't really need it. But back then, like, again, it was normal. Who cares? I know you can look up and down, like you kind of angle it, but you didn't really need to.
No, I in fact, if I had been playing Halo and GoldenEye for a while, I enjoyed the simplicity of going back to Doom and just shooting from left to right.
Because you know you could hit where's above or below you. Yeah. All right, DC. Well, I guess we've come at the end of Doom here. Any final words for how you feel about Doom or how Doom meant to you in your gaming world?
I mean, I'm going to continue to play this. Like I said, it is so convenient now, thanks to Night Dive and the Switch. Like, the Nintendo Switch is great for portability. I can watch something, or my wife can watch something, and I'll just be picking up and playing Doom real quick. I will not ever stop playing this. And playing Dead Space, the remake, has also made me want to finally get back into Doom 3, which is
Oh, yeah, I would love to revisit that.
I mean, we could do a whole separate episode on that because that is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's I love Doom 3 because it's such a crazy time for one, in PC games, like that's when like PC graphics are really taking off, right? Like with Doom 3, because I remember that was the big thing when Doom 3 came out was its technical fidelity, right? Like how incredible it looked, how dark it was with the lighting and all that. But people didn't like it because it felt like it wasn't Doom, but it was Doom. So I think that'd be a really fun episode for both those two because I've never finished that game either, and I've played it a very limited amount when back then, like on Xbox, and even now I've only played through like a handful of levels. I've never really fully experienced the game, but yeah, I think we should definitely cover Doom 3 at some point.
Yeah.
But for Doom, for me, it's one of my most favorite games ever, like easily top 5 of all time. It's just anytime I just feel like just, you know, getting to shoot stuff, rip and tear, I just play Doom, and that includes like Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, anything like that. It's just fun. Like and also beyond that, like the significance it has in gaming in general, for everything it's influenced and everything that it was doing at that point, well ahead of anyone else.
Yeah,
and it took a bold step. Like no one was gonna do this except them. And once they realized it was a success, like it just took off after that. And you know, for me, I always wondered like, if Doom hadn't existed, where would first-person shooting be, and where would gaming be in general, right? Because there's a lot of things that Doom started with, again, like online play and everything else, modding. Where would it be without Doom, right? And I think it's a hard question to answer because you really can't. It's like Doom set off all those things in like the gaming industry that started 30 plus years ago. They're still being used today, and there's a reason like people still celebrate Doom like we are today. Like it's 31 years later, we're talking about freaking Doom of all things.
If we ever can travel to the multiverse, I'll just go to those worlds where Romero and Carmack for some reason didn't get together. And I bet a lot of these first-person games would still be like those old dungeon crawlers.
It could be, yeah. It's a really, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's such a hard thing to think. It's like you said at the beginning where, you know, you put this up with like Mario Brothers, Tetris, right? Those are all games significant in their own ways. And it's always hard to say what's more important because, you know, Mario, you know, they could say like save the gaming industry and whatever else it did. But Doom has influenced everything else, right? Like, I mean, there's Mario's success, but there's also like Doom, what it did for just modding, multiplayer, online play, first person shooting. Later on they got mouse look, like in Quake.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, those innovations that were innovations like 30 years ago that are just norm now.
I totally forgot that when playing on PC, you didn't really use the mouse for it.
Yeah, you would use the little
arrows,
the arrow pad,
yeah.
or the WASD,
yeah,
and like your one mouse button. That's all you couldn't, that's all you really needed. Yeah. So I'm glad we did this episode. I think Doom is it's like the bee's knees without being using dirty words or anything like that. Yeah. All right, Ducey, any final words for our friends who are going off to go ripping and tearing?
Just